The choice was a sick joke, life in a concrete box or a one-way ticket to hell. That's how it was pitched anyway. A chance to work off your debt to society, to earn your freedom. It was all bullshit. The men in orange jumpsuits, faces etched with years of bad decisions and worse outcomes, shuffled into the sterile presentation room. A giant screen flickered to life, showcasing a monolithic oil rig rising from a turbulent sea. Not just any rig, though. This was the Citadel, a monument to human greed and desperation. The air hung heavy with the stench of sweat, fear, and cheap disinfectant. A bead of sweat trickled down my temple. I wiped it away, my hand trembling. I was no stranger to bad choices, but this one felt different. This one felt final. The presenter, a slick corporate type with a smile that never reached his eyes, droned on about second chances and fresh starts. He spoke of rehabilitation and redemption, but the words rang hollow. We all knew the truth. This wasn't a chance at redemption. It was a gamble with death. The Citadel shimmered on the horizon, a steel and glass mirage against the unforgiving ocean. Hope, they called it, a beacon of opportunity in a sea of despair. But beneath the slick marketing and corporate promises, a darker truth festered. The brochure promised a new identity, a hefty paycheck, and a shot at a life beyond bars. They neglected to mention the experimental drugs, the ever-present surveillance, and the fact that no one ever actually left. The journey to the rig was a blur of nausea and dread. Cramped cargo holds, the stench of vomit and fear, the constant rocking of the waves. We were cattle being shipped to slaughter, and we all knew it. As we drew closer, the true scale of the operation became horrifyingly clear. The Citadel wasn't just a rig, it was a floating city, a monument to human ambition and cruelty. The air buzzed with the drone of machinery, the clang of metal on metal, a symphony of industrial oppression. We disembarked, herded like sheep onto the platform, our new reality sinking in with each step. Gone was the sun on our faces, the feel of grass beneath our feet. In their place, cold steel, the omnipresent smell of oil and salt, and the chilling realization that we were trapped. The Citadel wasn't built for comfort, it was built for efficiency, for profit, for control. The cramped dormitories, if you could call them that, were rows of steel bunks stacked 3 high. Privacy was a luxury we could no longer afford. The air was thick with the stench of sweat, despair, and the metallic tang of blood. Every inch of the rig was a testament to our captivity. Razor wire lined the walkways, and the omnipresent cameras watched our every move. They were our constant companions, these mechanical eyes, recording our every move, reminding us that even in this steel hell we were not free. The work was brutal, relentless. 12-hour shifts, sometimes more, operating heavy machinery, drilling into the Earth's bowels, extracting the black gold that fueled the world above. The constant roar of the engines, the bone-jarring vibrations, the ever-present danger of accidents, it all took its toll. Exhaustion became our constant companion, a dull ache that seeped into our very bones. But exhaustion was a privilege, because as long as we were working, as long as we were productive, we were allowed to exist. The shift leaders, hardened men with dead eyes and even deader hearts, ruled the rig with an iron fist. They were the embodiment of the Citadel's brutality, pushing us to the brink and beyond. "Move it, scum!" they barked, their voices amplified by the echoing metal. Every drop of sweat is another day off your sentence. Lies, of course. Our sentences were meaningless here. We were cogs in a machine, replaceable, disposable, safety protocols were non-existent, accidents commonplace. Lost limbs were patched up with rudimentary medical care, the screams of the injured swallowed by the roar of the machinery, but the physical pain was nothing compared to the mental torture. The constant surveillance, the lack of privacy, the relentless pressure to meet impossible quotas, it chipped away at your sanity, eroded your will. The drugs didn't help. Pumped into our systems through a cocktail of vitamins and supplements, they kept us docile, obedient, and just alert enough to work. We were slaves to the rig, to the corporations, to the system that had brought us here. And as the days bled into weeks and the weeks into months, hope began to dwindle, replaced by a chilling sense of resignation. Death was a constant companion on the Citadel. It lurked in the shadows, breathed down our necks, whispered in the shriek of metal and the groan of the rig. We saw it in the vacant stares of our fellow inmates, in the way they moved like ghosts, hollowed out by exhaustion and despair. Those deemed unproductive, those who faltered, who broke under the pressure, vanished. One day they were there, the next gone, swallowed by the vastness of the ocean, their absence marked only by a vacant bunk and hushed whispers. No explanations were given, no questions asked. We were all replaceable, disposable cogs in a machine that churned on, fueled by our blood, sweat and broken dreams. I had seen it happen, witnessed the casual cruelty with which a life could be extinguished. A man, driven mad by the drugs and the isolation, had dared to raise his voice against a guard. The punishment was swift and brutal. A single shot rang out, echoing across the platform, a stark reminder of our place in this hierarchy of despair. One day, a strange tension gripped the rig. The usual cacophony of industry seemed muted, replaced by a tense anticipation. We were herded onto the main deck, lined up like cattle at an auction, our faces scrubbed clean of oil and grime. The shift leader, his face a mask of barely concealed excitement, barked orders, his voice echoing across the platform. "Stand straight! Look presentable!" He didn't need to tell us why. We all knew. It was visitation day. A sleek black helicopter descended from the overcast sky, its rotors churning the air into a frenzy. It landed on a helipad that jutted out from the rig, a chrome and glass anomaly amidst the grimy steel. A group of figures emerged, their silhouettes stark against the setting sun. They were impeccably dressed, these visitors, their laughter echoing across the deck, jarring in its dissonance. They were the investors, the beneficiaries of our suffering, here to witness firsthand the fruits of their investment. The viewing platform was a grotesque parody of luxury, a sterile bubble of champagne and canapes overlooking the abyss of our despair. From their vantage point they could survey their domain, their gazes sweeping over us, the workers, like zoo animals in an enclosure. They sipped their drinks, their faces flushed with excitement, their laughter echoing across the deck, each peal a fresh insult to our misery. We were entertainment for them, our suffering a spectacle to be observed between sips of champagne. They pointed at us, their faces contorted in a mixture of disgust and amusement, making bets on our productivity, our life expectancy. This was their playground, and we were the attractions, the human cost of their wealth and privilege. The contrast was stark, obscene, their world of polished chrome and catered meals against our reality of grime, sweat, and the ever-present stench of despair. Their laughter, fueled by expensive liquor and even more expensive indifference, grated on our nerves, a stark reminder of the gulf that separated us. They saw nothing wrong with this arrangement, their consciences as clean as their designer suits. In their eyes, we were not human. We were commodities, resources to be exploited, discarded when we were no longer profitable. They spoke of progress, of innovation, of the greater good. But their words rang hollow, devoid of empathy, their smiles a grotesque mockery of human compassion. The visit was a stark reminder of the moral bankruptcy that underpinned the entire operation. As the helicopter lifted off, taking the visitors back to their world of luxury and privilege, a heavy silence descended upon the rig. The echoes of their laughter lingered in the air, a bitter aftertaste of our own powerlessness. We were marched back to our dormitories, our steps heavy, our spirits crushed. The Citadel, once a symbol of hope, however misguided, now stood as a monument to human greed and indifference. The false promise of freedom had morphed into the crushing reality of our captivity. We were trapped, not just by the steel bars and the unforgiving ocean, but by a system that had stripped us of our humanity, our dignity, our very souls. And as I lay on my bunk, the rhythmic clang of metal against metal, a constant reminder of our imprisonment, a single thought echoed in the silence of my mind. There was no escape from this hell.